I feel colder in Australia than I ever felt in Europe. I actually spent a whole year traveling Europe before I came to Australia, and I had never been in Australia before. So when the Australians talked to me in Europe about how Australia was actually cold and how Melbourne was actually cold, I was like, bro, I've been in the Baltics, I've been in Poland, I've been in Christmas market, I've driven through snow, and I doubt Australia is going to be cold like that. The thing is, if you look rationally just at the numbers, it's true. I think the coldest I ever got here was like zero, maybe one. Whereas in Europe, I regularly got to -5, -10 in Poland, in the Baltics, in Germany. So it clearly is colder in Europe than it is here. So why do people keep saying that they actually feel colder here than in Europe? And the reason for that is that cold outside doesn't actually bother people that much. When you're going outside, you know it's going to be cold, and you actually dress up for that. Whereas cold inside is something that you really can't get used to because it's something that constantly hassles you, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, when you're sleeping, when you're waking up. And that is such a terrible feeling to have. And since obviously in very cold countries, the cold could actually kill you, houses and infrastructure there are actually decent. They're actually made so that you don't need to wear clothes, that many clothes inside. So, for example, when I was in Switzerland, even during Christmas, I was wearing like flip flops, shorts, and a t shirt when I was inside. And then only when I did go outside, I actually put on some clothes. But that's not how it works here. In Melbourne, you actually feel colder inside your house than you feel outside because insulation is just so terrible. And they can have that luxury exactly because it's not that cold. I had a similar experience in Naples. I lived there for like a month, maybe a month and a half, and it was during winter. And when I went outside, I saw that it was not that cold, that it was actually pretty reasonable. And compared to my experience in previous countries, it was a breeze. But then when I went inside, again, no insulation, no heating, no nothing. And so you actually end up feeling colder in cities where the cold isn't that dangerous. Because if it were that dangerous, you couldn't have the luxury of feeling cold inside your house. It actually goes the opposite way as well. When I lived in England, it was always in between 5 and 15 degrees. It was never below 5 and it was never above 15. And so when it reached 20 or 25, I was actually feeling pretty hot, even though before that, 25 was never a temperature that particularly bothered me. And of course, part of that is because I got used to the 10 to 15 degrees more or less weather. But also another part of it is how the homes are built and how thick the walls are and how they're built for keeping the heat in. So obviously that's good during the winter and during most of the time, honestly, if you're in England. But then when it actually is hot outside, you don't want to get that heat and just put it inside your house because it's gonna fry you up. And that's exactly what people in London or in Paris, for example, complain. Even though sometimes the temperature isn't actually that hot. And people, for example, in America or in the tropics, they see the temperatures and they see, oh, it's 30 degrees. It's 32 degrees. That's nothing. It's been 35 here for a month. It's been 40 here for a month. But what they don't understand is infrastructure and the structure and the way you actually treat heat and cold is actually a much more defining factor to whether people are feeling cold or feeling hot than the actual temperature that it technically is outside.